Okay, guys, thank you very much for listening and tuning in to this, our episode 8, the super strength episode of the More Cans 8 Wise podcast, named as such because, well, James, what have we drank today?
We did a lot of drinking, Ben, if we're honest. If you fancy listening to an hour and a half of me and Ben being stupid and talking about all things booze, powerlifting, mouthwash, all of the above.
Pies and champagne regions.
Yeah, the origin of Special Brew and where that came from and how it was all about Winston Churchill. Watch on, listen on. And
super strength Polish lagers. It's all in here. Basically, we've not introduced it like this before, but we just want to let you know that there's a lot of good stuff in there. And also, there's a secret word. If you make it to the end, I'll send you a can. So, anyway, yeah, that is pretty much us. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast, and we look forward to hearing what you think about it.
And enjoy. Love yous.
I feel like we're about to do a duo skydive, a tandem skydive. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our episode 8, a bank holiday special, which is a self-titled tradition that we've come up with where we're going to do a super strength episode every bank holiday. It should play well into our hands because of the extra time off work, but we're actually recording this on a Monday evening, such is the commitment to the cause. So, James, how are you feeling about Super Strength Monday?
Yeah, all right, mate, I think. It's going to be a little bit crazy. I think it's going to be a bit crazy. I mean, some of these beers I've had before, and it'll all become apparent, but some of these beers that I've seen from Insta and stuff from Ben are mad. So I think we'll have a fun time. I think it's going to be pretty obvious that it's going to go downhill very fast, but I'm excited.
Well, I went downhill when we did the vocation beers because one of them was 8.5%, and or is it even? And then we're going to warm up today on something that's stronger than that. So I think usually there's a bit slurry towards the midway point, especially for myself, and I start talking about things that I wouldn't usually, whereas this is going to start in 5th gear.
I think this is where our best content's come, though, to be honest, is when you've had a beer inside you and I'm trying to rein you in.
You're trying to apologise on my behalf and wonder if I'll edit it out, which
yeah,
we have done a bit of that.
Usually it happens that I get a message from Ben half an hour after, the edit's done, and I'm like, are we sure? Is this how this goes now?
There's a lot of slander and brewery hate that gets edited out from my part, and it's all well intentioned. I've not even had a beer yet. In fact, that's a lie. We did go to the pub after work, so I mean, we're going to talk a bit later about sort of weekly alcohol intake and stuff like that and where we stand after this episode. But yeah, a warm-up beer was probably not well advised, but hey-ho. So you're going to talk to us a bit about the style of beer that we've got in front of us today, and people who are watching the videos, you'll have a bit of a sneak peek of what we're drinking here. But James, for the people who are listening, it's a bit of a secret. So do you want to take it away and talk about the style of beer that we've got here?
Yeah, so we're going to get onto the beer itself in a minute, and the beer itself is pretty world famous. It's Delirium Tremens, so it's quite a young beer, to be fair, but we're going to kind of get onto the Tremens in general, but this is the first time we've done like a Belgian beer as our beer review, really.
Yeah.
I've got quite a lot of questions about styles of beer and people getting confused, and it is all a bit of like a muddied world, is the Belgian beer scene, in terms of what's called what. Things can have several names, styles of beer can be called different things. So basically what I did was a list of literally a quick whistle-stop tour of Belgian styles of beer, why they're called what they're called, and so we're a bit more clear when we do get to Tremens and we talk about Tremens, we're not confused with what we're thinking. So
I love that.
Well, you say you love it, but I haven't started yet, so it could be a
well, if I could just what we've said is that we were going to do a weekly episode, weren't we? And then we thought we'd record a few in a week and then like release them slowly. But what we're actually going to do is release them sporadically and actually research them. So what I love is that you've actually gone into great detail and you're going to let everybody know what these beers are all about.
Yeah, so to start with, I think one of the most famous, there's 3 or 4 really famous things. I've split it up into 8 categories. I think outside of that, it starts getting a bit complicated. So we are going to do some lambic style beers over the next few weeks. But lambic style, and that's like a super traditional way of making beer. It's an area to the south and the west of Brussels. They're usually wheat based. We talked about wheat based in future in former podcasts where the concentration of wheat is higher than the concentration of barley. Tend to use hops in this style for like antibacterial use rather than flavor or bitterness. They use them for cooling, like these massive cooling trays overnight where it attracts like yeast and bacteria from the air. And then these beers are kept for 3 or 4 years. And that kind of moves me into the next one. So lambic is a very traditional uncarbonated style beer to start with, and it's used as a building block. So a lot of like your fruit beers, for example, like
the sours.
So your sours tend to be more of like your saisons and your farmhouse style, which we'll get onto.
Okay. Yeah.
So in terms of the lambics, you'll see a lot of lambics that become the basis for fruit beers, for example, like creeks or framboise, which is raspberries and cherries, and they're made in the same way, and then they add the fruit to it later. I mean, some of the more modern stuff with the fruit beer, they've tended to add fruit or syrups to pilsners or wheat beers, but those are like the first two that I wanted to talk about was like lambic, and then you have fruit beers, and they're two very famous like Belgian styles of beer. The next one I've got written down is Pilsner. Now Pilsner actually comes from a word Pilsen from the Czech Republic. I probably pronounced that really bad, but they are super traditional to the Czech Republic. So it's water, malt, hops, and yeast. But the Belgians have started creating the Pilsners over the last 100 years and make some of the best Pilsners in the world. So I just thought I'd write that one down. We're talking about sours, and you were just talking about sours then. And that kind of moves us on to saisons or farmhouse styles. And that's like a super traditional way of making beer in Belgium. So it was
taste-wise. Well, I bought us those cans from Red Willow, and I'm yet to try the saison because it's got apples on, and I didn't know if it was a cider or if it was a lager or if it was a beer. You know, to the uninitiated, what am I going to taste there?
So traditionally, like saisons, because I don't know exactly the day. I think it's the last day in March. I think it is. Traditionally, because they use yeast to ferment in the fermentation process, you couldn't go past the end of March because to do with the seasons, and wild yeast would like infect the beer. So it's called farmhouse because it was made traditionally for like the working class. It's a very easy way of making beer, and it couldn't be made after March. So the saison season tended to be that like narrow gap of like just before Easter time every year, depending on where Easter falls.
Yeah.
So saisons like have become a lot more popular, especially in the US now, and to like the Western European market. They do tend to be a little bit more on the sour taste. You do get that apple, but then you also do get the citrus from lemon. You do also get the citrus from like apple, and so the beers in that range can vary from super sour, super like on that spectrum, but they can also be a little bit more rounded. I mean, most of them tend to be 5 to 7%. I mean, we'll get onto top fermentation in a bit, but it's just the way of the yeast when it's made it floats on top of the vessel that it's brewing in, so that it brews at a higher temperature. So that's where you get your big flavors. So the thing to remember about Belgian beer is the traditional way of making beer is that lots of it is huge flavors.
I love how
we talked about saisons.
Yeah.
Go on, mate.
No, it was such a stupid point. I was just going to say, I love how the descriptive super's coming out, and we are doing the super strength episode. These all seem like the eccentric beers, you know?
Yes, I mean, I think that's kind of the next two I kind of split up. So I put blondes down, and I put strong blondes, and this is something that I get asked about quite a bit. Is that what's the difference between like a blonde beer, for example, in the UK,
Yeah.
and a blonde beer, a Belgian blonde, when somebody describes like a Belgian blonde. And the thing with blondes and strong blondes that makes them different is that it tends to be a Pilsner malt, so it tends to be the same. You remember how we were talking about that top fermentation of Anchor Steam, but with a lager style malt?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That is that came from, we talked about that in America being like the mid 19th century, and them using the air around them to cool it down rather than refrigeration. And it's an almost identical way of making beer. Like,
Yeah.
they're using a lager malt and top fermenting it and cooling it down. So how we talked about Anchor Steam as being that style of beer, it is very similar to that strong blonde Belgian style. Like, probably the most famous is like the Westmalle Triple. Like, that was the 1930s, and that was the beer that kind of launched like what we would consider like the modern launch. That's probably like the most famous, and we'll get onto triples and doubles in a minute, but like,
Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of important to pick that out. The last two I've got written down are Vit beers, so we talked about that before, like,
Yeah.
over half wheat in comparison to barley. And then the last one, probably the most famous, like, so when I think Belgian, I do think lambic, I do think fruit,
I'd say blonde.
occasionally saisons as well. Yeah, blonde as well. I mean, the other one is Trappist, and it's quite confusing, this Trappist, because this is where the waters get muddied a little bit. So
Sounds like a rap
Trappist
brand.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's probably the bang opposite to that, to be fair, in terms of
What's
there's
the
only 6
opposite of
breweries
rap?
well, I'm gonna say it. So there's only 6 breweries that are active, and the big hitters. You've got Westmalle, Chimay, Orville, Roquefort's there as well. Like, you have to be brewing as part of an active monastery.
Oh, okay.
So and they do this. It's similar to how Champagne, like, you have to be in a region, or
Yeah.
Mowbray pork pies or all that. So they all have the stamp on them of where they're made. So they do it the same with cheese and bread and all types of weird stuff. But this is where I wanted to kind of the gateway, was that because they're so traditional Trappists, they tend to make 3 styles of beer. The blondes that we're going to talk about now, like Tremens, doubles. Well, in fact, Tremens is a triple, but we'll get onto that. Doubles, which tend to be brown beers, and triple. Now, we talked about the West Triple before, and it's simply called that because it uses 3 times the ingredients per the amount of water that you're using. So, you know how we talked about double and triple IPAs in episodes gone by? It's a similar process. So you tend to end up with a much more aggressive fermentation. You end up with a higher content of beer, and higher content of alcohol in your beer.
The podcast is going to sound a lot more professional because just as you were saying about triple and ramping it up and like adding more, we had some great sound effects that it's going to sound like we put in racing car noises from outside yours.
Yeah, I mean, that is the benefit of living in Shipley. It is like, I feel like I'm at Silverstone half the time.
Can't move from McLaren.
So I know that was like a huge like information dump all at once, but I just thought it was kind of cool just to give us like a baseline of where we're at. So in terms of delirium tremens, I think the thing to say is firstly, like, ceramic bottle, pink elephant on it.
Very distinctive.
It is mental, yeah. Do you know where the name comes from?
Delirium? I'm starting to feel it.
Delirium tremens.
Ah, right, okay. Because if you just Google delirium, it's quite morbid, really.
Yeah. So delirium tremens is the medical thing of when an alcoholic comes off booze.
That was it.
They start getting the shakes and they hallucinate. Yeah, it's a bit mad. So I think with having the big pink elephant on the front of it does make it look like they're trying to suggest it's hallucinogenic, aren't they? That's
Is it not the
That's
elephant in the
basic
room?
principle of it.
You know, if you're drinking 8.5s on a regular basis to the point where you're tremoring when you can't, would the elephant in the room not be that you probably need to stop?
I'm sure it's double meaning. To be fair, I think yeah, it's it's the pink. I always thought the pink elephant, Dumbo thing, the hallucinogens. It's all that. Isn't it?
Oh, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that.
The thing I would say about this is part of a series that so it's Huya Brewery. I'm probably pronouncing some of these words horrendously, but so that's East Flanders, Belgium, and it's they actually make 5 beers in the Delirium range. And I think a lot of people get confused that Delirium Tremens actually the brewery, but it's not. They make 4 others in the Delirium range, and some of them are as mad, if not more mental.
I want to ask a stupid question, if I can. What's the point of reference? You know, when you say something's hoppy, yeasty, malty, you can't obviously eat the raw ingredients. So do you just have to taste beers and find a sort of common ground?
That's a good point. I think...
No, it's not a good point. It's a terrible point, isn't it? But how do you know how to describe a beer? Because I would taste this and just go, oh yeah, it's nice, that.
I think it's a tendency with, like, malt definitely gives you that. When you think of something as malty, it's almost that comparison to, like, bread or...
pint of pedigree.
Yeah, I mean, that's a classic, like, malt-heavy beer. Like, you've got that darkish colour, you've got that... It's that thick, almost like toast-like
yeah.
Taste. And it's very mellow as well, and it doesn't challenge you in terms of it's big on one flavour. So I think that's why. That's why it's kind of great to use these words to describe beers. Is that you can describe individual flavours, fruit, sweet, whatever, but using hops to describe it gives you another way of describing how bitter something is, for example. And yeast again is how to differentiate between some of the beers that we're talking about here. Like if we were talking about a blonde or a saison,
yeah,
they're going to have a lot more obvious yeast content than something like a Pilsner or another lager style of beer. And I think people use yeast as well to describe, like, if it's hazy in any way, or I think that high like yeast like presence in beer, it is obvious on the nose, for example. It is obvious in the beer. You'll pour it, and it'll obviously still be there. So I get your point in terms of you don't see these ingredients in other ways of life, do you? But I've not really thought about it, if I'm honest.
I've struggled, right, because with the can of the day, I want to upload something that's really, really descriptive, but also sounds like somebody who knew what they were talking about uploaded it. And when I'm saying it tastes nice, it has hints of whatever it says on the can. I don't know how to say yeasty, hoppy, and all that. I'm not there yet.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because when I upload them, I tend to write down what I think, and then hopefully it matches something similar to what they think. But quite often I write down something, and the two, I can't think of an example, but the two will be opposite flavours, and I'll be like, do I now go back and check it, or is that...
I had a struggle with the Dutch Beer 52 delivery when I uploaded one, because I Google translated whatever they said, and a lot of the words didn't translate straight away, because that's the fun of Google Translate. I learned that failing German. So yeah, I'm gonna learn anyway. I've come a long way. We're 8 episodes in, and I've drank a fair few IPAs in the meantime, so I'm getting there.
I mean, what do you think taste wise? Because I think this is by far the bougiest beer we've done, and also I think by far the most complex beer we've done.
Yeah, okay. Well, a complex beer needs a complex answer. I like it.
Nice, yeah, I like that. and that's this week's beer review. Excellent, yeah.
It tastes floral. It tastes foreign. It tastes not as strong as you think it is. Well, as you know it is. I've drank most of it. You can tell.
So the first thing I wrote is boozy.
Okay, yeah.
So I think for most people, and please let us know if I'm wrong here, because this is a big assumption, is that yes, people like to taste beer, like booze in beers.
Yeah.
But it is also the sign of a good beer how well it masks like alcohol. Like,
I could not agree more. As long as you know what you're drinking.
So this is 8.5%. So it's going to taste of booze. Like,
Minorly, though.
Yeah, so I mean, I've just written down. I think there is a big like malty presence in it. I think I get orange, it's appley. You still get that, like, you know how we talked about that yeast presence giving like a clove like banana-y.
Yeah.
You still get that, but you get the sweetness and I think it's super well balanced. And I think I put on our group chat before that I wanted to give this a fair,
an impartial review.
An impartial review, but I do struggle because this has been in the fridge of bars that I've run for nigh on 10 years, and I just packaging wise it's exceptional. I think product wise it's exceptional. It's the thing I would say is if you are going to rush out and try it, is probably buy one bottle, because at the end of the day it is still 8.5%. It is still huge flavour wise. Like,
if you want, like, of an evening, if you want to drink one beer and not go up for the toilet during an entire football game, so you can only have one, and you still want that warm whiskey face type feeling, yeah, it's probably ideal.
I mean, for food pairings this week, mate, I haven't gone with a curry.
Well, that's because it's so strong that it actually makes you not want to have a meal and go out.
Yeah, so I've thought of something. I thought pretty similar. So
I can't believe that.
I think this matches really well with charcuterie cheese board, something on that line. It's like as an alternative to, like, if you were to, for example, like an easy drinking red wine, a Pinot Noir or something, this kind of fits instead of that. If you're not a wine person, I think it's a great. Yeah.
Well, if we want to not feel like, dirtbags or losers this evening, we need to consider these beers more like wines than beers. That, we need to consider ourselves connoisseurs who are just having a try of some nice, I mean, my beers are from all across the world, and so are yours. And we're just tasting them and letting people know what they're like. If you said that about beer, it's slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think as well, like, just to go back to Tremens, I think the idea that we've had with these beer reviews is it's kind of twofold. Is that we wanted to talk about beers, and for people that are really into beers, give a fair review. Like today, it's probably been a little bit more heavy going, but also for people that don't like or just getting into beers, for example.
Yeah.
We want to be able to. So we've done some lagers now. We've done some big hitters like the Punk and the Landlord and whatever. We kind of just want for you to try these beers and kind of grow with us. So if this is your first try of the Belgian beer, you've been put off from it before, I think I think the Belgian stuff will blow your mind. I mean, if this is too big, like, for some people, then I could suggest, like, going down the fruit beer, some of the lambic stuff. Like,
yeah, I mean, you are right. Sorry, I probably interrupted the right time there, but like, I'd never had this before today. I've never had almost any of the beers that we've tried. And what's great is that if you talk about the ceramic bottle with the pink elephant on, and people go to the supermarket, it's readily available, and it's a really nice, it's a really good beer to have in. And like James says, buy one definitely, because although I'm trying to, like, make it funny and talk about Claire Baldwin, it's an absolutely delicious beer and very different to anything I've tasted. Yeah, definitely recommend it.
Yeah, and I think yeah, if you are into this beer, and, like, as Ben says, it is readily available. If you're looking to tone it down, like I say, something lambic or even some of the fruit-based saisons are absolutely banging at the moment. And with those both being super popular at the moment, you can get your hands on. anything. If anyone does want a list, just fire us an instant message, and I'll fire some suggestions back. And if you do like this style, then the world's your oyster. Shimmy, for example, shimmy red, shimmy white are unreal. Oval, the Roquefort triple's amazing. The Vestmal triple that we'll try and do as a drink next time is unreal. So if you do like this,
what was the red one?
Shimmy red.
So when Rob Jakes, friend of the show, was celebrating Liverpool winning the league, I was like, I want to send him a message, say like, oh, congratulations, drinking red wine with the Reds. And he was like, no, mate, it's whatever you just said. And I sent that
was it?
our podcast page looking like an absolute idiot. So, yeah, it looks like red wine in the glass, doesn't it? But it looks like, a bottle of red wine in a glass.
Well, I mean, going on to that. So last night, one of the first people I ever met at university, Richard Jackson, never calls him Shoti or Priscilla. To just give you a quick background of our friendship. The first night I ever met him, which was the first Tuesday I was at university, saw this lad in a cricket top floor of a now defunct nightclub called Position in Hull. Instant
attraction. Cricket top floor.
Top floor, £1 bottles of Castlemaine 4X. And we didn't have much change from 20 quid by the end of the night, and a friendship was there born. But Ben managed to ask him if he'd ever drunk Tennant Super yesterday.
I was going to say Tennant Super. There's a difference between that and the regular. I've had the regular.
And I just put the guy who used to bathe in the stuff, mate.
Yeah.
This is the inventor of the Super Snake Bite.
Yeah, now, if I'm answering all the questions on the social media, well, not all of them, but you have a bigger following on there because of, your mates are into this sort of thing. So I'm just, wading through sludge trying to, sound like I know what I'm talking about. It's like, hey, thanks for answering. Have you ever drank this before? Yes, this isn't James. I'm sort of messaging James indirectly.
Yeah. I mean, whilst we're talking about Belgium, shout out to Armo. We're never answering that question on the podcast ever.
Yeah, I really want to know now, but I don't think that's going to come up until I've had my lager.
Yeah, it's never getting answered. It's fine.
Well, we'll see.
It might get answered. We'll see. It's Super Sunday, isn't it? It's fine.
It is Super Sunday, and I feel like the listeners have tuned in because they want to hear, some behind the scenes. Or, I mean, there was quite a descriptive emoji that Armo sent over as to what you got up to in Belgium.
Yeah, I mean, it covers all the bases, mate. I think.
Oh, did it? Was it that explosive?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Sweet, yeah. So, how much did you pay for your Tremens?
Oh, I can't remember. I've no idea. That's the sort of thing I should keep a handle on.
Yeah.
What was it, like £2.50?
Yeah, I mean, it's good value at £2.50. I paid £3.
Oh, I've no idea.
I think for Sainsbury's. But yeah, it's
Sainsbury's?
Yeah.
You didn't go to Tesco?
I feel like it was Sainsbury's, but again, I don't know how much I spent on it. So,
yeah,
I tell you what. We'll put our beer scores for this beer on the social because we'll need to work out how much we actually paid for it whilst we do affordability and attainability. But did you get yours from Tesco?
I can't even remember that. I must have done. Yes, I did get it from Tesco. Yeah, because I looked for a super strength lager, and fair play to Tesco. Well, I don't know. It depends how you view them. They don't sell any.
Which is fair play to them, I suppose.
It is, isn't it? I mean, we'll talk later about what purpose super strength beer serves. But, I mean, not selling them is definitely not a bad thing.
Yeah, and I mean, where was this Tesco, though?
Macclesfield.
Yeah, you see, I wouldn't be, if I was Mr. Tesco, I wouldn't be selling.
Oh, shut up. That's not fair. There's plenty of...
In fact, I'm changing my shit towns from whatever that place in Spain I said last week to
Paso la Casa.
No, not Paso la Casa. That's where we want to go on holiday. What was it called? La Linea Concepcion.
Oh yeah, that's it.
No, Paso la Casa somewhere we want to go on holiday. That's the.
I've had those words in my head. Right, this is a massive tangent, but I sometimes get words stuck in my head, and they're always words that I don't know the meaning of. Tend to be place names. And so thanks to Kane and Emily for suggesting Retford the other day, because I haven't been able to stop thinking of the word Retford or Paso la Casa in, well, a long time, since that episode about 8 weeks ago.
I love that. Well, do you even know where Paso de Casa is?
I have no idea what it is, James. I think about it all the time, but not enough to Google it. Just when you're trying to nod off at night, it's like, Paso de Casa. Where is it? Is it a ski resort?
It's a ski resort in Andorra, and my mate's dad used to describe it as Ibiza in the snow.
Do you know why I've thought of that? I've been looking through the Instagram, trying to see what does well on our Instagram and what doesn't do well. And what does do well is anything not related to beers. Our most liked picture, I think, is a picture of I Am Brew, or it's up there.
Yeah, or a picture of me and you dressed as pirates.
Yeah.
Or a picture of me in a beer garden, or a picture of you behind a microphone at a comedy club. None of them are beer related in any way.
Not at all. It's always big announcements. We seem to have more and more of them as things are, don't go to plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, isn't it? Because you can, only on our platform could you do a big announcement for a show that everyone's expecting us to make anyway, and it'd be fine.
Do you know what's great, though, as well, is that the most liked pictures, they get this about 90% of our listening audience. That's funny to us and no one else, because no one else cares or knows anything about it.
Yeah, and that's what people are here for, to listen to two people talk about inside jokes between them, isn't it?
I think, yeah, I hope so, because that's all we've been offering out, really.
Yeah.
Thus far. It would be weird if we changed things up in episode 8, although you were very educational, clear and concise, which I actually really enjoyed that.
I've shot myself a little bit, if I'm honest, but now that this beer's starting to hit, I feel like the second half is a lot more. We started strong, haven't we? And this is where the wheels come off.
I am drunk. There's no two ways about that. And I've still got to do my jargon buster section. But, in the meantime, we went out today and James gave us a criteria for this one because we've struggled to get the same beer. I don't know if we mentioned, actually, we've got different supermarkets in our towns. And whilst, that's hilarious.
Are we cracking onto this beer? Are we doing this beer now or after the top 3? Or... Oh, we should open these drinks and do it during the top 3.
There you go. So that's
love it.
That wasn't what we'd written down, but that's
sensational.
Because you need we've finished the Belgians. I hope you have, because I finished mine midway through yours. Delirium. Oh no, you just waved it across the screen, and then we're like, "Oh god, ages ago, mate." I was like, "Well, unless I'm seeing double already." Yeah, so what we plan to do is do our top 3 and then a bit of a lager review, but I have struggled to read what I've got in front of me. So, yeah, we'll drink our lager during the top 3. And James set us the criteria for our beer as anything above, what was the percentage?
I don't think we did a percentage, did we? I just think we did as it was the strong, what was this is the trailer's talking already. What was that super strength special we called it, didn't we? So
I mean, yeah, I like that super strength special. That's cool.
I think it was anything strong. So
anything strong. So
I mean, I'll introduce mine because yours is a bit more mental than mine.
Which is not what you want to hear, having never had it before.
So I've kept it classic, guys. I've gone with the Calzberg Special Brew. I mean,
Specky Brew.
A couple of things about this.
Yeah.
One, it's one of my least favourite drinks of all time. But I don't know whether that's because I was 18 when I had it last.
Oh, okay. So you've had a bit of a sabbatical from the Special Brew, and now you think you might be able to return.
Like a fucking normal person. Like, if you have a house, and this is no disrespect to homeless people, but if you have a house, why would you drink this? Like, seriously.
This is no disrespect.
But no, all jokes aside, like, I'm going to hit you with one big fact.
Yeah, go on, I like that.
This is my only bit of research I've done for Calzberg Special Brew. It was named after a 1950 brewery visit by Winston Churchill. And they wanted to make a malty beer with a flavour of cognac, because that was Winston Churchill's favourite post-dinner aperitif. Digestive.
So, Winston Churchill, you can have an opinion on him, was responsible for brewing the worst beer that's ever been made.
Well,
Your
no,
view?
well. So two things. I don't think it's. I'm going to try it, and I don't think it's going to be as bad as I think.
So were you one of those who was attacking his statue, a few months ago?
Oh, mate, you couldn't see me for going down to London and knocking statues over, you know?
But you were doing it for the right reasons, at least, because they were on about, obviously
Oh, yeah.
supposed racial biases and all that sort of thing. You were there because he'd invented the worst beer that's ever been.
I like that you're sticking with this worst beer.
You said it's your least favourite beer.
It is my least favourite beer, but I might be changed,
Okay, well, we'll wait for you to have a sip.
Go on, mate. I was just going to say the worst beer of all time until I tried what Ben has in his hands.
So I went to the co-op today, and
I can't believe the co-op sell this. To be honest,
no. I went to the co-op with the sole intention, because we've been wondering about this, and I was like, James, let's just get Special Brew. The fans want Special Brew. James Yates asked us, why do they call it Special Brew? And, well, now we know. So I went to the co-op in Macclesfield, but one of the co-ops in Macclesfield, and they didn't sell anything of the sort. And so I walked out of there, and across the road, it was like a mirage, honestly. It was exactly what I needed at the time. I thought I was hallucinating it. There was an off-license. It was a really horrible-looking off-license.
Was it called something like Bargain Booze, or
what
was the one opposite Gardener's called?
As Rhythm and Booze that was in Cottingham.
Oh, Price Crunch.
Price Crunch. No, this was called something like Shop to Go, and it's like, yeah, that sort of doesn't make any sense. But anyway, Shop to Go, we'll call it that. Me and a very questionable looking fella got to the door at the same time, and I was
Not for the first time.
I was wearing an odd mask, so he had a laugh at it, and then he let me go in. And under the pressure of somebody waiting outside, because of social distancing, this place could only have one person in at a time. I was like, right, okay, I need to find something, because co-op's not got anything. And I looked at the beers on offer, and I didn't know what strength was high or low. I know what's obviously higher than normal, but I don't know what's super strength. And so I'm looking at them all, trying to read the labels, and none of the labels are in English, like, at all. And so some of them look like ciders, some of them look like beers, and this one says cerveza on the top, which, from many a Spanish holiday, I assume is Spanish for beer. And I bought a beer that I've never had before, but having posted it on our WhatsApp group, and James just having confirmed it then, is probably apparently the worst beer in the world. It's Polish, I know, because none of the label makes sense to me. Karpacki?
Karpacki, yeah. Karpacki Black.
Right, so it's something that I didn't really want to say on the podcast too often, but I've got Karpacki Black. And do you know anything about this beer? Have you tried it?
So this beer, in my 7-8 years of running pubs in Bradford and bars, was the biggest, by far the most consumed drink by street drinkers in Bradford. In fact,
Right.
A local off-license got closed down for selling this at £1 a can.
This was £1.80. £1.80. Oh, I should probably say, it's a 500ml can as opposed to your standard 440, and that's not where the intimidation ends.
What percentage is it then?
Well, it's jet black, has scary fonts like you might imagine sort of communist propaganda would be written in. It has an emblem which looks, again, semi like that, and it's a 9% lager beer.
And if you just hold it up to the camera for the YouTube viewers, have you not poured it into a glass?
Oh, yeah, I have, yeah.
Look,
I've done it badly.
For anyone who's can't see, it's almost like a classic Boddington's colour. That's Ben's face is an absolute picture now as well.
It's I just tried to suck the foam off the top, which probably edit out that and re-record what I just said.
We won't be doing that.
Nah.
You might be doing that. I don't edit it.
Yeah, it's simultaneously translucent and opaque at the same time. It's orange, which, I mean, considering it's called Karpaki Black, I guess that's because of the can. Yeah, well, we'll get into tastes later, but this is not a good sipping beer for, well, anything.
So we kind of introduced you to our lagers. We are going to go back to the lager feature after our top three. So just bear that in mind what we're drinking. Message us who you reckon. We'll put a poll out of which beer you prefer to be drinking once we've done a review of it.
It's been pretty fucking conclusive on every message board that we've been posting it to thus far.
Yeah, I mean...
Does this make you aggressive? I've had a sip.
Well, fortunately, mate, I'm 80 miles away, so if it does, I think we're all right. Just worry for Beck.
Beck's out tonight.
She saw you bring the Karpaki in, mate. How many cans did you buy? Did you just buy one can?
Right, so this is where you and I not differ, but just, I mean, I don't know where your mind went. I have one can of Karpaki Black, and that is enough for me.
All right. I mean, I could only buy 4 cans at a time.
Oh, you uploaded a picture of 2.
Oh no, it's a picture of 4, but you probably can't see the 2 below it. But yeah, I intended on buying just one, but there wasn't just one as an option.
Did you get yours from the co-op? Because the next co-op that I went to buy my tea, that had special brewing, but I already had the Karpaki.
No, I went to an overpriced local shop. It usually has everything in, but it's overpriced. Shout out Salto Wines.
I was going to say, what kind of place has special brew and also feels that they can charge a premium for their service?
Mate, it's wild. There's a can of the new there's a Salt Brewery and Atom collab. So it's a 440ml
Imperial Stout.
Yeah, the salted Imperial Stout. It's 11.5%, to be fair. How much do you think that was in the shop today?
£4.20.
$8.99.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I got mine for. Well, we won't talk about that. Big shout out to Helen Jakes, formerly Helen Foster, who's having a few shout outs on the show in her wrong name. Did you see what we put on the Instagram?
Oh, did you say Jakes right, by the way?
Yeah, I did. I've been saying it right the whole time. I'm really happy with it.
All right. Okay. Cool.
Even though we've been going on about the Belgian beers and we might have caught a bit of French accent, not this time. I've learned my lesson. That's the biggest in-joke in the world. But anyway, yeah, Helen asked for a beer at the bar and didn't check the percentage, because some other people do that as well. It's not just me, even though I've got form for it. And she had herself a Wild Beer Company, I think it was, 11.4% stout, and then went on a shopping trip. So fair fucking play. That is a bold decision that seems to have gone really well based on
bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it's paid off.
Right, we're rambling, and that's for later. Should we talk about our top 3 strong things?
Yeah, so we thought super strength, strong beers episode. We'd do top 3 strong things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go hard early. Top 3 strong things. Number 3, Adebayo.
Sorry, I just had this.
I love that. I just absolutely, I loved that. I can see a not very well man in front of me.
That's just my first sip out the can, to finish it off. Anyway, your first top strong thing.
Top 3 strong thing. Adebayo Akinfenwa.
Would you like to tell us a bit about who he is?
So we were talking about he's a professional footballer.
Yeah.
Never played in the top 2 divisions of English football or any football anywhere. But he's managed well. He may do this year. We don't know. He has 1.2 million followers on Instagram. He's billed as the world's strongest footballer. How would you describe his physique then?
He's very, very muscular. He could bench press 2 of me, and he can't jump very high off the ground, but still scores a lot of headers because he has this sort of gravitational repelling force that sort of rebounds, defenders off each other. So, you know, that League One box just looks like pinball.
Yeah, he's easily me and you together in terms of weight and build, isn't he?
Yeah, but like so much better as a footballer, because if we were like playing football in tandem, we'd be so shit.
You reckon?
What, if you like three-legged raced a game of football?
Well, you didn't say three-legged race, did you?
What do you? How else do you tandem foot? Like,
Well, if we were allowed
front,
to play...
front, back to front, that would be even worse.
If we were allowed, so if me and you came as like a one-player package, do you think we'd get a professional contract?
I think
So
we'd have football intelligence from your side, and I don't know. I play 7-a-side to a very poor level.
But this is what I'm saying. So if football teams were allowed to play 10 players plus me and you,
Yeah,
would they sign us? What level would we get signed at?
I'm currently playing in the fourth tier of 7-a-side in Macclesfield, in the team that just about doesn't finish bottom of the league. So probably about there.
Yeah, so we'd be able to play like 8 on 7 in that league.
Oh, I see. Like the man advantage would tip it in
Yeah.
our favour. Yeah, so maybe we'd finish towards the top. We might even get. I don't know how you get promoted in ours. I scored a goal once, and it was honestly one of the best moments of my life.
How did you celebrate?
Oh, you're not supposed to celebrate. You just sort of walk back as if it's not a big deal, because each game's about 13 goals to 25. So, yeah.
Yeah, but you say you're not supposed to celebrate.
I did some fist pumps, like cool guy, like shoulders,
Nice.
dance moves. Yeah. So Akinfenwa is your number 3.
Yeah, I just think when I've tended to go for things that are dictionary definition strong. So when you think Akinfenwa, you don't think anything else but strong, do you?
No, well, a friend of mine, George Balsfield, bumped into Akinfenwa whilst in Hollywood, and that is like as cool as it gets, I think. I've not been to Hollywood, to be fair, so I don't know.
And you've not met Akinfenwa, so...
No, I've actually, yeah, you're right. Like, I don't know why I have any opinion on it. This beer is revolting. Right. So before we did this episode, right, we had to Bagsy something because I was sure you were going to pick mine and and vice versa. Obviously, I wanted to go for the most. This was the clearest answer for me. So, the dung beetle.
Yeah, it's ludicrous.
It is absolutely ludicrous that you didn't want to choose this, and I Bagsied
No,
it.
it's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous that you've picked it. I mean, carry on, but...
I respect the dung beetle for a number of reasons. One, it's defined by what it eats, and I could also think of the bird-eating spider and anteater. Big shout out to vegans as well, who are also defined by what they eat. But yeah, so I also, as an aside, could a dung beetle describe itself as a vegan?
I don't know, Ben. Could a dung beetle describe itself as a vegan?
No, it's not a joke. It's just that if you don't eat animal products, but like, could you eat animal shit? The vegan dung beetles.
I think to be vegan, you have to be able to tell other people that you're vegan, and I don't think a dung beetle can do that.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what a dung beetle can do. You naysayer, you'll eat your words now, much like a dung beetle eats shit. It can
Well, if
pull.
it stops me drinking this special brew, then that's fine.
A dung beetle can pull 1,141 times its body weight. So if you bring that into human terms, that is the equivalent of 6 double-decker buses full of people. That silence there is just James so amazed.
The silence isn't the internet cutting out. The silence is, yeah, I knew you were going to say this, but is that your complete argument?
What? How on earth can you ask me if that's my complete argument when you look at the animal kingdom, the strongest thing in the world?
But they're not the strongest thing, though, are they?
How? Yeah. How many buses can Akinfenwa pull?
Right, so you've got a load of...
One maximum with no people on.
Right, so you go shopping, you've got two bags of shopping. You've got to carry it across the car park. Are you asking Adabir Akinfenwa to carry it, or are you asking a dung beetle to carry it?
Well, you already said that dung beetles can't communicate, so obviously that's a stupid argument because I couldn't.
They're not. They're strong for their size, like comparatively strong for their size. But
That's the only way you can judge something, species to species.
Yeah, but they're not strong though, are they?
That's literally what they are.
It's not a strong thing, is it?
Right.
Go on.
I have written that, and I thought that was the best answer in the world. That was my number one answer, and I said it third. And I've not written anything for the others because I was so sure that I only needed one.
Well, I might have had more respect for it if you'd written it first, written it at number one, mate.
Well, I'm not going to naysay yours because I'm respectful. So what's your second one?
Well, I haven't decided yet. I'm just doing my classic thing of picking something at random.
So prepare for the beginning and then wing the middle and the end.
Bridges.
Bridges. Well, you better know something about building bridges because that's what's required.
So we can build one so you can get over it.
That's right. So bridges.
Suspension bridges in general. I did a bit of prep. Anything like suspension bridge or like cantilever stands, how do they stay up? Humber Bridge, how does the Humber Bridge stay up? Mental.
Yeah, I suppose it. Yeah, well, no, it is. Yeah, I like the Humber Bridge because the Humber Bridge is longer than the Gold Gate Bridge, and there's less suicides off it, which is amazing. Because where would you rather live, San Francisco or Hull?
I went to San Francisco last year.
Yeah.
You'd need a lot of money to live there. So I'd probably prefer to live in Hull.
No, but I mean, like, if you get to the point where you just want to end it all, you'd imagine that would be in Hull rather than San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, but no, we're supposed to be the podcast that champions Hull. Let's not.
Oh yeah.
We can't fall into this. Yeah, don't.
So what? I need to say that. All right. Well, okay. The Gold Gate Bridge is shit because they start painting it at one end at the beginning of the year, and then when they get to the other end at the end of the year, then they start painting it again. And
is that the Golden Gate Bridge? I thought that was like the fourth bridge. Have we just made something up there?
Right. You said you've done your research on bridges. You've probably done
bugger all research on bridges.
I don't know anything about bridges.
They have to be strong enough to carry like lots of people on, don't they?
They're very strong and impressive in that sense. Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I've got for you, mate, bridges wise.
All right. Well, I'd say something that's actually very impressively strong.
Yeah.
Marlboro Reds.
Wow.
Fuck my mouth. They are something else. Like, I don't like smoking. It doesn't look good on me. I look very camp when I do it. And it's just not for me. And then a Marlboro Red comes out and it's like, yeah, why wouldn't you want to distance yourself from any of the internal lining of your esophagus? Like, ugh. I just don't understand.
They were called cowboy killers when we were at uni. In our flat.
But I just, like, if it gets to the point, and I know we're drinking super strength beer, so this is a massive sort of, like, not an oxymoron, but I don't know what the word is. But why, if you get to the point where you can't, a cigarette isn't doing it for you and chain smoking isn't doing it for you, like, it's efficient to have a red, but you've got to be able to take it without the headaches and it changing you as a person and, being fine sounding like Deirdre Barlow. That's not a great, like, market.
I mean, unless people are so addicted to cigarettes that that's their only, like, hit of nicotine.
But you always find that there are people who are hard as nails. Like, so this is why it's one of my top three, because I respect those people.
As strong as Jimmy Nails.
Because it's not like chain smoking rollies, is it? It's like heavy duty cigarettes.
Yeah, it's all the tobacco, isn't it? It's all of the nicotine.
Is it a money saver? Do you reckon they're cheaper? Is it like double strength squash where they say, or like laundry detergent where they say like cheaper over 1,000 washes?
Oh, you suggested that you probably only need one cig a week if you have.
Yeah, so it's like managing your monthly debts. Why not consolidate all of your loans into one, affordable monthly payment? Cigarette consolidation services.
I love that. I don't. Yeah, I think that'd see me over the edge today with a. Even the idea of a Marlborough Red seems.
Yeah, and this is us saying that after. I mean, actually, you know, I was going to say some really strong, horrible beer, but this is going down a treat. I don't know what the hype is about this. What's the name of it? Karpaki Black, but it is. It's hitting the spot.
Is it hitting the spot because you've now had a bit and it's got you pissed?
I fancy a Marlborough Red. Have you got any?
Yeah, I'll send you some over, mate.
Right. So yeah, I think Marlborough Red is my number 2. Strong, like top 3 strong things. More for the amazement that people can actually smoke them, keep a straight face, buy them in the first place, ask for them, which is also bold in itself. That's strong.
Yes.
That's considered that requires strength.
Yeah.
So
Yes. It's a tough. I thought of really good number 1 then, and it's passed me by. The Delirium Tremens is kind of hitting, and half of the special brew. So if you've got your number 1, go for your number 1, and I'll be back at you.
Okay. Do you want a funny one or do you want a serious one?
Funny one always.
Okay, well, at school, I was always quite, what's the word, insecure about the fact that, because, I mean, let me just say, no girls were getting off with me ever, right? So...
That's hard to believe, isn't it? Especially for our YouTube audience.
Yeah. I mean, when you've had a beer, it's hard to tell if you're being sarcastic. You're now grinning like you're not. So, yeah, I was a bit insecure about my not getting off with girls. And like, I just thought, right, what can you do? Why would a girl not get off with you? Right. So I named all the reasons and tried to, you know, put out those fires as they emerged. And one thing I thought of was bad breath. And so I became like subconsciously very conscious about having bad breath. And so I used to eat a lot of strong mints.
Oh, I love a little tree ball.
A little Trebor strong mint, not to be confused with a soft mint, which is for soft lads. And obviously, you're not a soft lad; you're a strong lad. So,
Are you a blue or a green? Are you a spearmint or a?
I feel like, I feel like a blue is unnecessarily decadent. You know, it's just to make your breath nice. Like, why do you want to make it smell like spearmint?
At this point, if you don't say Fisherman's Friends, then now that is strong, isn't it?
I've never had that. But I'm going to Port Isaac on Friday to watch them.
In Port Isaac's Fisherman's Friends at Port Isaac.
Have you seen the film?
I haven't seen the film, but one of mine and our friend Tom Downs, Babbo, our favourite song at uni was No Hopers, Jokers and Rogues. We used to play that on like. It was one of the very few songs that was on. If you've ever heard it, it's like a wild, like, fisherman's choral song.
Which James is about to do a rendition of.
Oh, I'm not. But we used to play it as like our last song, like for one summer, our last song before we went out, like as the tune-up song for like Piper or Welly.
Yeah.
And then also like play it when we got in the morning as like whilst we're cooking breakfast.
So you got in the morning. I was like, you know, so you start the night on it, you finish the night on it.
Yeah, we must have played it at least 100 times over the summer.
We were weird. We just listened to like Biffy Clyro. It was proper bizarre.
Yeah, I mean it's very very mainstream in it, to be fair.
Sea shanties is a different game, but if you haven't seen the film, bloody watch it. Now we are rambling. Strong mints.
Message about anyone who's had Fisherman's Friends. Let's get Ben on trying Fisherman's Friends.
I'm going to eat these mints for old people. Woo.
Very good.
Anyway, ate a lot of strong mints as a kid. I think I developed a semi-addiction. I was buying a couple of packs a day. I don't know if you know, but strong mint's not great for the old digestive system.
Does it speed you up or slow you down?
It makes talking to girls difficult, which I was ultimately trying to be able to talk to girls with this minty breath. It was like aftershave for the mouth. A, not that impressive. B, makes you feel like you're going to shit yourself immediately at certain times. So have to cut the conversation short. Conclusion, not great for getting off with girls. Failed school.
But look at you now.
Again, not sure if that's sarcastic or anything, so we'll just slide on into your number one.
Mine is, and this is twofold. The sport of powerlifting.
Oh yeah, strong man.
Strong, so generally strong. You get to watch people on Instagram pick stuff up and put it down. Shout out Jimmy.
Shout out Jimmy. Happy birthday
Happy
for
birthday.
yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday for last Monday, because this comes out on Sunday, doesn't it?
I mean, I might release it a bit earlier, but
yeah. If
it's coming out later, like congratulations on your next child, obviously, because
Nice.
Yeah.
There are some sports in the world that people watch for general mishap.
Oh, I was going to say this, and I thought I was a bad person. Yes.
So we're talking NASCAR. I'm talking the luge at the Winter Olympics, when they get like random countries doing it that have never competed before.
That's why they call it a skeleton, isn't it? Because people tend to die.
End up as a skeleton, yeah. F1, but that's got rubbish now. The Grand National, it's the only reason I watched the Grand National. Shout out Peter,
what?
The horses that going.
What? You only watch the Grand National for the mishaps?
Mate, there's 30 horses going around.
Yeah, it's a spectacle, but you don't watch it. You ignore those bits.
No, I've got one horse, and then I want the other 29 horses to fall, surely.
Also, no, if you're watching the Grand National, you've got 8 horses. You tell one group of mates you've got one group of mates you've got another, family you got another. You've got your bets, you got your side bets, you got your sweepstake at work.
I backed it from the start. But Bennett hasn't even started yet.
And Bennett's a non-runner.
Yeah, still running now, pal. And so I also include powerlifting in this, because must have been the 2016 Olympics. There was one morning when the only options were like equestrian or powerlifting.
Yeah.
And we put the powerlifting on, and the Olympic standard or whatever, it sets at like a certain weight. And there was one session where these fellas, enormous fellas, were trying to lift the weights up, and one by one, they were either failing. And it's like where you could see the bar was bending with that much weight.
I'd love to do that just once. Like, that is up there with running a marathon for me. Just make a bar bend.
Just for your, like Bender from Futurama.
I mean, I'm never ever. Yeah, I suppose. What? No. Oh, right. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Thought you were being rude about me.
No. Well, not this time.
I'll tell you what, I did actually make a bar bend, because I've been going to Legs, Bums and Tums in Mobley, which is a village outside of Knutsford, and all the weights have plastic bars. So, yeah. Watch me go.
I mean, every time like you build up this, I'm not a middle class toff. I live in a nice area, and then I just live in a nice area. The next village on is really what? Legs, Bums and Tums.
No, it's circuit training. It's awesome. If anybody is listening,
it's 100% called whatever you called it the first time. Don't try and be like it's circuit training in Moss Side, Manchester, because it isn't.
Also, if you're calling me a toff, that is interesting, because do you know what the town over or the village over is called? Toft. And it's a bloody great cricket day out. I had a great time. Served bootleg IPA at the bar, which was smashing. I spent most of the day there.
Well, Chris Peel, who edits our YouTube videos for us, has already said that we're the two most middle-class toffs of all time. So make of that what you will. Yeah. Don't know how I feel about it, but
you have to be a certain bellend to make a podcast in the first place, I think. Like, that's been my reservation with releasing episodes.
I mean, we are doing an episode where you're smashed through on the car packing, I'm on the special brew, so
I am so drunk.
I'm just feeling pretty great, you know.
Oh yeah. I'm packing for holiday after this. No, we won't get into that. Right, so
your car packing for holiday.
I had to read it again. Yeah, I'm gonna packy my bags. So what injuries are you talking about watching the powerlifting? Because you were talking about Olympic standard and stuff like that. No one cares about what the like entry requirements are. What injuries have you seen?
I just want to say, no, it's not even the injuries, it's the threat of injuries that I like.
Oh,
it's the danger, yeah, the impending danger.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see anyone die, but...
Who dies from powerlifting?
Um,
There's people probably, but like, you know.
There must be people, right?
You know, people who do like home release videos and it's like them trying to bench 20 kilos or whatever's normal shit. And then, you know, they have to like wrestle it off themselves as they're videoing, and sort of then that video gets released. And you think, if you were that embarrassed about what you just did, it collapsing on you, how did it get anywhere?
Just don't release it, do you?
You just don't release it. We just do that with a lot of our content.
We just, you guys get in the best 5% of our content.
Yeah, this might not even get released.
But yeah, powerlifting. I think just it's strong, and there's a strong sense of impending doom, isn't there? I mean,
also the legs buckling. I mean, that is worth watching.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've just said that I've hoped all the horses but mine fall at the Grand National, so I can't come and say I'm not hoping that people don't lift weights.
Yeah, and you know what? We didn't even talk about that, but imagine what a Grand National that would be. You know, like, you know that swimmer who entered the Olympics in the qualifying rounds, and then he didn't quite. I mean, this is rubbish content if we don't actually know who's who, but it was from somewhere like, I don't know, the British Virgin Islands or something. He'd never actually been in a pool, which doesn't make sense.
Eric the Eel.
Is that who it is? Eric the Eel?
Yeah, Eric
right.
the Eel, yeah.
Fantastic. And everybody got essentially fouled out of this swimming race. And on went a man who could not swim. And all he had to do was swim the given amount. I think he was doing like, what, the 500 meters or something?
Yeah, it was. I remember him finishing. It was like 4 minutes when he finished in.
He had to do like
the lead
20
time was
lengths.
less than 2. Yeah.
He had to do a Frosty's badge essentially, and he bloody made it, and he qualified for the Olympics. And I don't think he actually went.
No, that was like the first round of the Olympics. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, did they have like initial qualifying?
Yeah, yeah. So
now, if we're talking about doing sports in tandem like football, maybe we should look at other sports, because we wouldn't qualify for any football because people are good at football. But maybe we could make it into like an introductory round of the Olympics if we were to do like the shot put between us.
I think we need to look more niche than that. I think we need to be... I think we can make a decent curling rink between us.
Why? That wouldn't benefit you being strapped together, would it?
No, but you don't really have to do much lifting or... like, you have to train, but... You can still have some beers doing curling, couldn't you?
We'd be good at snooker if one of us sort of like made a guardrail into the pockets.
Oh, it would be unbelievable. Or you can pick the ball up. I don't know how that works as a team, but
yeah, because you could do that on your own.
Yeah, the guardrail's a good idea.
Now, I reckon we've done our top threes. I had a lot of top threes written down. Big shout out to Zombies. You know, the mixture of drinks that, like, essentially a pint of top shelf with.
But also like
pineapple.
zombies in general. No, they're the opposite of strong, aren't they? You hit them once in video games and they die.
Yeah, the undead.
I had Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Oh, I
love
a
strong person.
He's such a good guy as well. Have you watched Titan Games?
I have not.
I'll tell you what, James, at this point, this is just us having a chat. So let's move it on. But anyone listening, Titan Games is on Netflix. It's bloody awesome. So, right, I have decided to write a feature, which I've saved to this point, having drank all of my 9% beer, to talk about what, you know, percentage, ABV, units, just clear up all of that. And if you've made it this far through, thank you very much. To the 30 of you that listen, I'm very appreciative. So, James, what do you know about units, or what is 1 unit of alcohol? Do you know?
Well, so 1 unit of booze for me tends to equate to a 25ml measure of spirit at 37.5%, is it?
There you go. So 1 unit of alcohol, pure, like simply speaking, is 10 milliliters of pure alcohol. So if you drank 10 milliliters of pure alcohol, that is a unit. And that unit takes the average person an hour to digest or do with it what the body will. And you're supposed to have 14 units per week. No more, no less. Actually, no, less.
That would be a different world we lived in if
Definitely
people
less.
had to have 14 units.
So basically, the way you cut, because it'd be very difficult to boil it down into, what is in stuff. So I've got a little calculation here. It's calculated by the number of milliliters of pure ethanol alcohol used interchangeably in a 100 milliliters of drink at 20 degrees. Yeah. So it's not a maths lesson, but it's basically the percentage times the volume divided by 1,000, that's your units. It's as mechanical as that. So you have a shot at 40%, 1 unit. You have an Alco Pop at 275 ml, or a small glass of wine, 1.5 units. You have a 440 ml can at 5.5%, which is where we tend to find ourselves when we're drinking these IPAs, 2 units. That's 7 a week. That's what you're allowed.
Is that 2 units? That's
a pint of 3.6% beer or cider, also 2 units. But that's 3 points. If you find me a 3.6% cider, I will find you actual urine because they are comparable. And then a large glass of wine or a pint of 5.5, on the lash, is 3 units. Now, when they say you're supposed to have no more than 14 units per week, they also suggest that you might spread these out over a few days. So that's 1 440 ml can at 5.5% a day for a week.
What's your Carpacchi at?
Right, so our delirium is at 2.8 units for the bottle. The beer that I've got next, which I won't give away, is 3.43. And my Carpacchi 500 ml, 4.5 units at 9%. Oh, sorry, 4.5 units is 9%, bucket that up.
4.5 units.
So in this podcast, not over a week, but just in the last hour and a bit, 10.6 units. Oh, no, we're gone. We'll be back. I got you back. Right,
Yeah,
where did you get me to?
Just hold that thought because we can cut this out. I'll put the light on. Just record what time it is. You got me.
Yeah. What point was I at when I was speaking about that?
You got to the beer that I had tonight was 3.4%, but I won't say what it is.
Oh, sweet. Right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start then and say, leave it a bit of a gap so I can see it on the edit. Right. So the delirium that we've both had is 8.5%, 330 ml, very standard, 2.8 units. The beer that I'm going to have later that we'll talk about is, I won't say what it is, but it's 3.43 units for, again, 330 ml. So the strongest of the beers that we've got. And then the Carpacchi Black is 500 ml, 9% beer, 4.5 units. So in total, not for the week, for this evening with a burp, 10.6 units of my allocated amount.
That's wild, that.
It is wild, isn't it? I mean, there is actually a get out of jail free card in that, I said that it's calculated by the number of milliliters of pure ethanol in a 100 ml drink at 20 degrees. Well, the reason that you might have got a bit drunk in France quite often is because they measure their percentages at 15 degrees. I don't know what that means, but it might
Bloody
mean
bastards.
something. That was a
But it's funny you should say that 14 units because I've just worked out that the case of special brew that I paid, I think I paid £8 for it today,
yeah.
which is probably extortionate. But as I say, I've never.
No, that was in the same in the co-op. That.
It's 3.8 units a can, so that's 15.2 units for the 4 cans.
Oh my god! Right, well you can't have all of them this week.
I can have 3 of them and save 1. Is that what you're saying to me?
I'm trying to find where I wrote down how many units you can have, but yeah, no, you can't. You're not allowed that. 14 in a week, so you are. Yeah, I'm allowed 2.4.
Okay, so that's like 1 pint of okay strength beer.
Yeah, so I mean, I could have. I don't know. I could play around really because I could have like, well, almost half a shot and then a 440 can, or I could have 2 Alco Pops, a shot, and be healthy for the week because I'd be slightly under.
I mean, it does have to be said this isn't really a healthcare, a healthy lifestyle promoting podcast, is it?
I tell you what, I actually never realised we've never said always drink responsibly. That's what people say, isn't it?
Yes. What should we good cop, bad cop it? You'd be like, always drink responsibly, and then I'll be like, only if you're a square.
The problem with that is I am not a good cop. Like, the way I speak about all this, you're the responsible sort of presence and I'm myself.
Well, we'll just bad cop it. Drink what you want.
2 negatives or a positive. So
Yeah,
maybe we'll be like, alcoholic parents and then they have a kid that doesn't drink. That might be.
That's us, yeah. So our viewership, I don't think anyone in our audience drinks to excess. It's fine.
That's good. So, shall we move on to? I mean, did you like the? Have you got any questions about what I've just said there?
No, I think I got it. I think the
units, no, James, you have got a question.
Oh no,
just forgotten. Yes, of course you got a question. Your question is, Ben, what's the strongest beer ever made?
Ben, what is the strongest beer ever made?
Good question, James. I've got a question for you. How strong do you think that beer was?
Right, so I know
the current strongest beer ever made.
So the old record was the. Oh, is it still the current record? So the tactical nuclear penguin, was it, from Brewdog? Was that like 33%?
Right, okay.
But then I'm sure some like madman has made something stronger than that. Surely.
Well, that's pretty embarrassing if Brewdog thought that was the strongest beer in the world. The strongest beer in the world, and I mean, raise your hands up high. It's a British beer. It's officially the world's strongest beer. It was brewed last year, and its name is Snake Venom. It's £50 for a 275ml bottle. And do you know what, James? They originally said it was 67.5%, but trading standards came along, stuck their little dobber in the water. That's not how a dobber works. That's for bingo. But anyway, and said, yeah, 67.5 is wrong. This is 68%. And so they are the strongest beer you can possibly buy. If you have 50 quid and a death wish, you can buy it.
That's a madness. 68%.
You're looking at me like, I was thinking, oh shit, I've frozen again. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it. Why would you drink that? Would you be absolutely steaming after one? You would, probably.
No, not even a doubt. Like,
so that's like a pint of vodka. No, it's a 275ml bottle.
It's like, yeah, but it also affects you differently. Like,
but it's stronger than gin.
Yeah, so like it's like an overproof rum territory. Like, that's mental.
I mean, I think if we get to a certain level on the podcast, we should definitely try it.
Yeah, if people are still listening at this point, if you want us to try it, then next time me and Ben together, we will try it.
I'll put a post on a social media, probably Twitter, because you can retweet it. And if it gets 100 retweets, then we'll just drink that for an episode. I'll spend £100 on beer for that.
Well, no, it's half of. We'd share one. No, 100 retweets. We'll do a bottle each.
We'll do a bottle each. Fucking hell, they've just retweeted. What's a bottle each between a couple of lads? Oi oi. So anyway, yeah, that's the end of the Jargon Buster segment, which I hope has been brought like down into the most simple terms. But yeah, that's what a unit is. That's what units are in things, and that is the strongest beer in the world. Big up.
So yeah, it was good that, mate. Are we going to go back to the lagers, and what do you reckon? Give me a Karpacki review.
Right. Okay. Can I be dead honest about this?
Yeah.
I had a sip of the foam, and that wasn't fair. And I pulled a face, and I made a comment, and it wasn't very nice. But you know, for a beer that doesn't promise very much in English, because none of it's in English, it's rich, it's flavoursome. It's not. When you get a strong cider, you can taste that it's absolutely stripping the back of your mouth off. Like your tongue is paying a price. I really think this is quite smooth, and you know, when you get the richer IPAs, I enjoy them. And I've got to say, this is of the same bracket. So this is the best lager I've had of all the ones we've featured so far.
So the way we do this for people who haven't listened before, we do good, bad, or ugly. So ugly for us tends to mean different or something interesting. So are you a good, a bad, or an ugly for this?
Controversially, I am good.
I like that. Got a lot of time for that. I mean, when I've tasted it, I do have connotations to that beer as a negative, so I think it's fair that we. Yeah, I'll go with you with good. I think it's fine. Now,
well, why do you buy a 9% beer? Do you buy it to have a sensible evening? No. Do you buy it because you want something that's like light and refreshing? No. Do you buy it because you want to have a few beers in one can? Yes. Is it efficient? Yes. Is it rich and tasty? Yes. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, we have just talked about buying a 68% beer, so I think it's.
I feel like this is the Marlborough Red of beer, and it's just so efficient. Why buy 2 4.5% beers when you can have 1 9% beer and carry it for less time?
You've got to remember that we're talking about this is something I was going to bring up, is that a 9% beer will have more impact than a 2 4.5% beers. This is where units fail a little bit.
Yeah, it's like pizza maths, isn't it? So if you get 2 medium pizzas, you've not got more pizza than 1 large.
Yeah,
the circumference is pizza maths. You're
a large pizza guy. I'm a large pizza guy. Do
you mean we're large people who eat pizza or people who eat large pizzas?
I was making it like deliberately ambiguous so that we could be both at the same time. Like I'm a large pizza guy, but also I'm a large pizza guy. Like it's.
In my drunken state, I've just poured the rest of my lager into my stout.
I mean, I'm pretty delighted at that.
I mean, it's all over.
I don't know where your stout is, but what your stout is or where it is, but it's for anyone who's not watching YouTube, it has gone like a. I don't know if it's the light. It's got like a purpley brown colour, which is.
The stout's got a head on it. So should we get on to our super straight?
So yeah, I was gonna do special brew first, and then we can move
shit,
on.
Matt. Shit the bed.
That's all right. Are we saying good, bad, or ugly?
Yeah, what would you say? Because special brew has a place in everybody's heart because everybody's bought it at a certain time for a reason. So it really has to be, is it what you expected? Is it what you wanted from the beer you bought?
Now I've heard this. Am I just a sucker for a story? Now I know it's supposed to taste like cognac. I do get that, like.
I 100% see what you mean. Like, it tastes fucking horrible if you think it's meant to be a super strength lager, but if it's meant to be with fruity essences.
This is dictionary definition ugly. This is. So, like I said before, we don't necessarily mean ugly is bad, but it's. I wouldn't ever describe it as good, but I wouldn't ever. It's not a bad product at all. I just think it's different and interesting.
Yeah.
Am I ever going to drink a case of it after the ones I've got in the fridge now? Probably not until Ben gives me one.
But what about when are you going to drink the others? At what? Because you do serving suggestions. What about serving suggestion for the beer itself?
So
At what event would that be good?
So serving suggestion. Oh, for Calzberg Special Brew.
Yeah, when are you drinking that in like what event?
I'd love to do a. I'd love to do a wedding with it.
Like your own, or how do you do?
Somebody else's wedding would be unbelievable.
So you're the best man at somebody's wedding, and you put Special Brew on
draft. Okay.
So it's like don't tell the groom. Somehow there's in your head there's like an episode of something called Don't Tell the Groom where you organise a bit of the wedding.
Or we could go to BBC Three. Say it was you and Beck, for example. I'm not suggesting that you and Beck are getting married, but
yeah, that'd be proper offensive if you did.
Yeah, well, we could have a new we could have a new spin-off series called "Don't Tell the Bride or Groom."
Oh, okay. So yeah, that makes sense. It's better than Tattoo Fixers, and that got quite a few series on Channel 4. So like,
and I just organise your wedding for you. Stag do, hen do, everything.
I like that. There's a big rabbit hole that we could go down. Like, where's the stag do going to be, etc. Paz de la Casa,
I'm
obviously.
thinking of a word. Benidorm.
Because it's Ben. I would be pretty dormant though, because I'd be so well behaved because I'd never like get out of hand on my stag do.
You wouldn't have an option. You'd have a bottle of delirium tremens to start and a case of delirium tremens to when it all finished.
I could definitely deal with that. So, what are you saying? You're saying ugly for
I am, mate. Yeah.
That's unfair. Like, well, it's not unfair, is it? Because it's your ruling. But I'm pretty drunk, so just trying to be a devil's advocate. You know, just weigh in against. Oh, come on, it's not that bad.
Classic more cans.
Classic more cans. So now we're going to bring back.
Could we just pause it there, Ben?
Yeah.
Just for 2 seconds. All right. Sorry, mate. Yeah, you should just fucking hear that across the recording, mate. That's cool. I'll give you a little bit. Just we're going to be done in like 20, but like you can say that across the mate.
Yeah, I might edit this. I might not. So this might all sort of get into the episode. But I suppose if you're listening at this point, super strength has sort of taken it's got the better of us. James is actually having it. He's down in the Calzberg Special Brew. If I was to sound like someone at Aintree commenting on the Grand National, I'd say that James would maybe be the next horse to fall, which he'd be thrilled about if he hadn't backed himself. And after sounding a bit like a horse racing commentator, talking to myself at a very fast pace, James is now back.
The thing is, like, it's talking to yourself. I know you're just saying stuff that I'm never going to listen to, and it's just going to make the end edit, and I'm just like, oh.
Oh, yeah. Anybody listening at home who cares, James never listens back, so if you ever say to him, oh, I love when you talked about this, he'd be surprised he even made it in.
Yeah, like, shout out Chris Smith, actually, who I spoke to today and actually last week. Like, best chef I know, actually. But he quite often comes up to me and says, oh, I liked when you talked about this, or this is a really good beer review. And then I look back and go, I have no idea we did that. When we talked about powerlifting for half an hour, or whatever it may be.
I'm going to have no idea after this one. So... We've done the jargon buster. We've actually done lager. We've killed two birds with one stone, which sounds a lot more sinister if you are a northern person, I suppose. Yeah, so we're going to go on to the super strength Guinness game. So we should probably introduce the beers that we brought for said game.
And I think it interests me, this, actually, because I was gonna go. I didn't know how high to go ABV wise, without seeming like a maniac / not seeming like a lad.
Well, the stouts. If you like a stout, and you want something that's something that you can just drink, for pleasure, you're gonna struggle if you like something rich and tastes like dessert, but not for dessert. You know what I mean?
So I went for. So I kept it local. So the Saltaire Triple Chocolate Stout.
How many percents are we saying?
So usually comes in at 5%.
Oh yeah.
However, they've just released an Imperial version of it
Oh yes.
for our YouTube viewers.
7.6.
7.4%.
Oh, 7.4%. That is something on the Richter scale. Now, big shout out to Alex Calder, who brewed an Imperial IPA, which was absolutely gorgeous, but also stronger than me. I'm trying to find where on this bottle it says what percent it is. I've just found it. So, Moncada Brewery make an Impy pudding stout, and I mean, I might be a bit of an oversight, but I imagine not many people know this beer because I didn't either. I went into the shop and asked for a stout that was nice, that wouldn't blow me away. And the guy there at Dexter and Jones went, yes, obviously this one's nice, but you want to have this one. It's lovely. I was like, yeah, it might be lovely, but how strong is it? And he was like, it doesn't matter how strong it is. You can't taste the alcohol. I was like, yeah, well.
Is this your guy that always upsells you all of the strong booze?
He's the person who's responsible for me drinking the 8.5% pint that I had 2 of. But anyway, I've got a proper taste for it now. And this is it's called Impy Pudding by Moncada Brewery. No idea where they're from or what they're all about. It's a cinnamon, vanilla, nutmeg, rice pudding Imperial Stout.
Unbelievable scenes.
And I've never had rice pudding before, so this is a bit of a first. And
whoa. You've never had rice pudding?
I've had those Muller yogurts that are rice pudding. That has rice in, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't want to sound too negative, but that is super strange.
Yeah. Well, this is 10.4%, so sort of puts your Imperial Stout to shame. So if you want to diss me about fucking rice pudding, this is 10.4%. Now, I'm just going to go right in here because I want to. I'm going to try and make it finish between the Flavely, which you can't see because it's so black, and the little orange drink different underneath, which, fair enough, I am doing. Now, never had a sip of this in my life. This is not how you're supposed to taste stouts, I don't think. Although, I didn't know how you're supposed to taste nice wine and champagne, but you meant to spit it out afterwards.
So I'll rock out the commentary. So here we are, sports.
The commentary will be difficult because you can't see where the lines are.
Absolutely fine. I'll back myself.
You reckon you can commentate on my face?
So here we are, sports fans. He puts the glass to his lips. We said we'd got rid of this game, but it only took a week and we're back. He's got a white shirt and a dark stout and 10.5. He puts it down, unimpressed face. He shows me the glass.
It's way below.
No idea. And it's a huge overshoot.
It's a huge overshoot. And also, can we just talk about the white t-shirt, mate? Whose symbol is this?
Oh, just rocking the merch, the Beavertown merch today.
If you get on the Beavertown website, you can get because I don't like that a lot of these all the brewery merchandise, it's got too many logos on. If you want just a plain white t-shirt with an embroidered little skull on it that looks like Beavertown, if you like neck oil and you like bragging to your mates that you've tried an IPA before, much like I do, it's on the website. It's not that expensive. Fits quite well. Medium shirt for medium people.
Glowing praise.
It is a white t-shirt, which is what you expect when you order, and that is the best part of it.
So yeah, that's beer merch with Ben.
Beer merch with Ben, which will be an ongoing feature if I could ever find any that I actually like. Big shout out to Drop Project for putting shit all over there. No, I like the shit. It's just sold out. I'm not editing out that out, James. I can't edit that out. I won't remember it. But that Imperial Stout was very nice, very rich. Tasted a bit like black pudding blended into blood with sugar in it, so you can't tell that either of those things are in there. It's very rich, it's nice, and it tastes like rice pudding. It's got sugar in as well.
I mean, Rob, if you're still listening, whilst I've had a beer, black pudding stout from Cross Bay would be unbelievable, please.
Oh my God. Why on earth has nobody thought of this? Because, you know, when you get, I've been listening to some podcasts today, you know, when you get a red wine that they think, you know, it's proper rich. It is essentially, it's metallic, it's rich, it's red, it's a vampire's wet dream, you know? Why don't they make beers that sort of caters to that?
I mean, I think we're in that category at the moment.
Vampires are undead, so they can spend forever.
I like that. So yeah, Rob, if you're listening, black pudding. I'm saying black pudding milk stout. A bit too creamy, innit?
I don't think black pudding and milk could go together.
Just a black pudding stout, please, or porter. You decide.
Has that been done?
I'm gonna have a quick look on my phone. I'm not being rude.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the point when the podcast where we'd ask somebody to fact check what we do, and neither of us had to talk.
Oh, this is a great time. Yeah.
We're not actually there, but we are going to introduce some stuff where somebody introduces the features for us because we are a professional outfit. So no more filibustering from me, especially not after a 10.4% maniac of a stout. So James is just having a look at if we've ever had or seen a black pudding milk stout, which already sounds actually.
Oh my God, it sounds unreal. So there's a black pudding beer, but I don't think it's black. It's more the flavours surrounding it. So it's Fleecemeester and Ghost make a Russian Imperial Stout with raisins soaked in Calvados.
What is Calvados?
So Calvados is going to blow your world. So it's apple brandy, French apple brandy.
That is right on my level.
Every single person that I know, 90% of the people that I've ever met in my life who like booze hate Calvados. I adore it. I think it's one of the best spirits in the world. But when I say, "Oh, can I have a Calvados, please?" everybody usually goes, "You're a fucking idiot."
Right. Well, you know, when somebody, right, the best way to introduce something to somebody. So if you say, "Look, everybody loves this. You need to get involved in this," I would automatically go, "Yeah, well, if everybody loves it, I don't want to love it." So
But you support Man United, mate.
Well, doesn't everybody hate Man United?
That's fair, yeah.
So,
anyway, sorry.
So yeah, like you're at a restaurant and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe they got this on the menu. Like, and also, I suppose it goes the other way more than that. So like everybody likes nachos. I sort of stand against nachos and like, yeah, it's fucking crisps with cheese on. Fuck off. But yeah, if
you're wrong about nachos.
No, but I know I am, but only because everybody likes it, I feel like I don't have to. Whereas you tell me, oh, nobody likes this, I already like it in my own head.
Well, we'll bring some Calvados. If we'll get that thing out and we'll finish that day with some Calvados. If people want to watch us be idiots and drink the world's most strongest beer, that must be a banger on YouTube. Why not just throw some Calvados in? You know,
when I googled my beer to find a bit of context about it, the one that I keep forgetting the name of, bloody hell, is Karpacki Black. Is the only thing I could find is YouTube reviews and Polish Google. So I was like, well, I'm going to struggle with Polish Google, and I'm not watching Americans talk about beers. So yeah,
nice.
That's why I came on so uneducated.
So my beer thing.
What is your stout, and where is your line?
So I've got the Imperial Triple Chocolate from Saltaire. Never tried it before. No,
I mean, it's not really Imperial, is it? If it's not more than 8%.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a wanker. It's fine. I had it in my head that I'm going to show the glass up now. I brought my glass from Manchester Beer and Cider Festival from this year, which is about the only festival that actually went on. I had like 10 or 12 on my list of stuff to go to this year. I ended up going to this one before all of this happened. And I thought in my head it was a really good glass to pick, but if I show it up to the camera, there isn't actually a line on it after that. So what I'm going to do...
Well, no, there is. If you look below the Manchester,
yeah, it's not like, it's only like when you actually have it flat, it's less than a sip.
It's a sip, yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix my hand like here, and we're just going to go to the knuckle of my hand.
But Okay, I like that. Right, you'd be able
My
to
hand's
see it.
right flat against the bottom. We'll be able to see. So
This is where we could have used, you know, for these imperial stouts, imperial units and measurement. I should be commentating on what you're doing. And I have missed everything that you were doing, but James has now put it below where I can see. He is literally exactly where he was aiming to be. His top finger is a millimeter off the top of the drink.
that's the best I've ever done.
So being the
Maybe
best,
maybe I just need to have a load of beers. That's the key.
I think that would help the podcast. Although, my God, have we rambled today? We have. I mean, I've got like 4 points written down, and we've really.
If
got
you've
around
made it to this point, I love you with all my heart.
I know, James. I've got a great idea. If anybody tweets us the word filibuster, right, I'll send them a can in the post. And I mean that. Honestly, anybody who does it, I will send you a can. Filibuster. Send it to us on Twitter, Instagram. Fuck it, text me, I'll screenshot it. But if you've made it this far, I want to send you a can.
And if anyone fancies doing this World's Strongest Beer podcast with us, and you've got to this point, let us know in either the comments or the Twitter stuff, and you're on board, we'll sort it out.
And Joe Hill, we will do a military episode if you come on and talk about military history in relation to booze. Absolutely, definitely.
That's it, isn't it? I think we've got any other business.
I am so drunk. Like so drunk.
I mean, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Like I'm probably like a 7 and you're like a 9, which is great.
My eyes are already not. My eyelids can't stay as open as they're meant to be.
I love that.
Me too. I am enjoying this.
So that might be everything for today. I think I just want to say happy Bank Holiday Sunday to everyone.
Yeah, everyone, happy Bank Holiday. James, do you reckon we've actually brought some decent content to the world? Like we've talked about, you talked about, you've been educational about Belgian beers. I think that's a positive. We've told people what we think about the beers. That's again positive.
Yeah, and just please get in touch with us if there's anything you fancy us covering, or now that me and Ben are capable of seeing each other, like in terms of not being locked down and stuff. It means
not like in a relationship, right? But you never know.
Oh, what? I thought this is why we're doing the drinking.
You know when you don't laugh at my jokes, that's how it feels.
So yeah, I mean, so if anyone's got ideas of places to go,
who wants to get involved, fucking get in touch. Absolutely awesome.
This whole podcast isn't just me and Ben. Like the whole idea of it is that we go out and have drinks, have a good time. We go and talk to people. We do fucking stuff on camera, off camera, recorded, not recorded. If you want to come and have a beer with us, we'll come and travel and chat beer and chat shit to you.
100%.
So thank you for listening, and we love everybody. We love all of you.
And remember, if you made it this far, send me, the podcast, whatever, the word filibuster spelt correctly, and I will send you a can. And even if it means that I have to send out all the cans, I will send out all the cans, because I fucking love you lot. I am absolutely hammered.
And on that note...
Is that a wrap?
Yes. On that note, it's an absolute wrap. Love you all. See you later. Bye.
See you later, guys. Super strength. Goodbye.